Good morning, gang. Happy Friday. Occam's razor. The most likely answer to any sort of question is usually the simplest one, right? It's funny, nearly a week after the shooting of President Trump, we have less answers than we had a week ago. I find it very interesting that every time a question comes up, we get some sort of crazy answer, and then when that's debunked, they come up with another crazy answer. It was one cop was on another cop's shoulders until myself, I don't know if anybody else has said that, but that was physically impossible unless you've got two giants doing it. We heard he climbed on an air conditioner until somebody said, where they said was an air conditioner was actually a storage shed. So they're just making it up as they go. There's a lot of talk out there that Thomas Crooks wasn't even the shooter, that it was actually somebody by the name of Matthew Yerrick. FBI's not going to tell us that. We don't know. It's funny because they can't get into his cell phone at first. And when there's the uproar that, you could figure out where everybody was on January 6th, or you could get into this person's cell phone with no problem. Now all of a sudden a 20-year-old kid's phone is so secure that the FBI couldn't get into it. Remember that a couple of days ago? And then all of a sudden it was, miraculously we got into the phone. They change their story as depending on what we, the people, figure out using common sense, okay? Or simple things like Google Earth, cell phone video. This is supposed to be the number one security service in the world. And they got outmaneuvered and outmanned by some 20-year-old loser? Nah, nobody's buying this. They've subpoenaed Mayorkas and Director Cheadle, which they're going to gaslight, lie, and say, for security reasons, we can't tell you. We'll hear all that crap in a closed-door session of Congress so the public can't know. What are you hiding? We all saw this happen. It happened on live TV, and God knows how many people had cell phone videos. What are you hiding from us? Why? Now it comes out yesterday that the Secret Service knew about the shooter's whereabouts for at least 30 minutes and did nothing. We have the bullshit lines that came out this week that, it's protocol that we don't shoot first. Okay. Maybe that's a real stretch in a secured area where you're supposed to be securing the President of the United States, and you're going to tell me that protocol says you wait till the shooter fires first. Got it. Then you add the political stuff to this, and you start to wonder if this is 1963 all over again. And we're still waiting, but pretty much anybody with a brain knows that LBJ was the one who ordered the hit on John F. Kennedy. And he did it with the help of the CIA. Now, maybe you say I'm going to go all conspiracy theorist on you here, but you know what? Common sense and a logical path to follow for an investigation is not conspiracy theory. It's a logical path to follow for an investigation. Okay. So let's think about this. In the last 2 weeks, Trump has been surging in the polls. Biden is losing every swing state. The Democrat party is trying to push Joe out, everybody is telling Joe he can't win. And the only ones that are adamant about running are Joe and Jill and Hunter. And the rest of the party's saying no. In public, they'll say, we stand behind Joe Biden. And you know damn well none of them do. They all see the writing on the wall as Joe's going to get his ass handed to him in November. So they come up with a brilliant idea, the Bidens. Let's get rid of Trump. Again, this is a logical path to follow, not a conspiracy theory. This is something that needs to be investigated. And the people would say, well, gee, how in the world is Joe going to do something like that? I don't know. Let's go back to Joe's previous job as vice president under Barack Obama, where the generals leading the military were all fired and replaced with liberal social justice warrior generals, leadership in the military. Let's look at the corruption in the FBI and the Department of Justice, where everybody that was of rational mind was let go, and you had liberal mindset brought in. Peter Strzok, okay, that sort of stuff. Don't worry, he'll never be president. We'll see to it. Remember those comments? Okay, back before 2020 or 2016, I guess, which was a failure. Now, tell me that Joe hasn't corrupted the leadership in the Secret Service as well. Now remember, they pulled people from Secret Service detail from Trump to go put extra Secret Service on Jill, who had a rally at the same time in Pittsburgh. Because, so many people are going to go see Jill Biden versus go see Donald Trump. I mean, Joe last week couldn't pack a high school gym of 600 people. But we need more security for Jill and less for Trump because, he might have 10,000. It might be a small rally. Okay. Is the Secret Service corrupted? Remember again, Jill Biden was the person who picked Director Cheadle for the Secret Service. Remind me again what office we elected Jill Biden to. Please, okay? I'll give her that she can pick her own staff, who her PR person is or her secretary is, sure. But no, the First Lady should not be picking who the director of the Secret Service is. Would you say it's somebody maybe who they have got in their back pocket? I don't know. Ask Marsha Blackburn how the run-in with Director Cheadle went last night at the RNC. Cheadle eventually left her suite at the Fiserv Center and then ran back to her hotel. The director of the Secret Service, the director, was not welcome at the Republican National Convention. That should tell you something. Okay. So, of course, we all know, thank God, that the assassination attempt, whoever did it, and I still think we're being gaslit on there, and there's a lot of investigation going into the fact that maybe it wasn't Thomas Crooks. There's a whole lot of wonder. Who ordered it? Who ordered the stand down order? How about the cop who said he had a shot and was ordered not to take it, even though there was a man with a scope, a rangefinder, and an AR-15 camped on a roof pointing at the president. Yeah, okay. Say what you will, that he's a presidential candidate, a former president. No, you always have that title of president, okay? Jimmy Carter still has the title of president. Who gave him the stand-down order? Why do we have Secret Service agents saying, I had him in my sights for 3 minutes? Why do we have admission from the Secret Service that they knew he was there for a half an hour? If they knew he was there for a half an hour, why the hell didn't anybody go up there? And the bullshit line of I was on somebody's shoulders, poked my head up, and then ducked back down. What did you do after that? That's your job. Remember how jobs are handed out in the United States? We volunteer for them. It's not like any of these cops were told, under penalty of death, you are going to be a Secret Service agent whether you like it or not. Or you've been drafted to be a cop. No. People volunteered for those jobs and accepted the responsibility that came with them every time they cashed a paycheck. Whether they were qualified or not is another question. Obviously, cops that didn't go up on the roof are not qualified to be in that position. Pretty much every cop that had any knowledge of the position of the shooter and every Secret Service agent that had any knowledge of the shooter should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Now I'm going to give you this. This goes back to the military for me, which you can pretty much accept the fact that police forces and the Secret Service have the same code of conduct as the military. I was following orders doesn't cut it, because in the military, in the police force, in the Secret Service, you are required to follow lawful orders. Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, right? If I'm a Secret Service agent and I see a guy, and I'm a sniper, and I see a guy on a roof pointing a gun at the president, and my boss says, don't you dare do anything. Screw that, boss. Pop. Okay, now let's let it all shake out. Why did you shoot him? Because he was pointing a gun at the president. Why did you tell him not to? We wanted to wait to see what he was doing. Well, he wasn't up there baking cookies, I will tell you that. All right? We know what his intent was. We don't know what his motive was because the FBI apparently isn't competent enough to figure that one out yet. Okay? But we know what his intent was. It was to kill President Trump. So we go back to Joe Biden. And the attempt failed. And Joe's like, damn, he can't say it publicly. I couldn't eliminate him. I really can't try it again. We're not going to get another chance to get a gunman close to him. We already had the Secret Service in cahoots to let this guy at least get off a shot. Promised him the world, probably, and then put a bullet in his head so he couldn't talk. So next time it would have to be something bigger, like, I don't know. You figure that out. IEDs come to mind. So now Joe is screwed. Now he's just given sympathy to Trump. Trump came out of this injured, but more popular than before. Kind of like what I said last week about Ronald Reagan and 69 days in. And Joe's freaking out. So after months of hearing from Joe that I'm running, I'm running. Kamala can't win. I'm the only man that can beat Trump. Yesterday, the reports coming out of the Oval Office were Biden asking his advisors if they thought Kamala could win. Then Biden gave a speech yesterday, I think it was about 4 o'clock, and said if the doctors told him that he had some sort of medical condition or whatever, he would step aside. And 2 hours later, miraculously, he was diagnosed with COVID and had to cancel all his other rallies, speeches, whatever, and flew back home to Delaware to hide in his basement. This is a telltale sign. Probably by the end of the weekend, Joe's no longer the candidate. Because you've got to look at the optics on this one now, too. Joe's thrown in the towel. Trump got shot, hit in the side of the head with a .556 bullet. And less than 24 hours later was at his convention. Biden got COVID and has to cancel all his public appearances going forward. And then, of course, you have the ultimate racist, MSNBC's Joy Reid, saying, well, basically it's the same thing. Trump got shot, Biden got COVID. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, okay. Put some water on that sponge that you call a brain, Joy. You're a little dehydrated. It ain't working. It'll never come out. We'll never find the truth. I pretty much bet on that. It'll be 60 years till somebody decides to declassify it. We'll never know. I'd put money on it that this was an inside job by the Biden administration in cahoots with the CIA, or not the CIA, the Secret Service and the FBI to cover it up. They figured this would be easy. Trump's out. The whole conversation in the media this week wouldn't be what happened. It would be who were the Republicans running. Oops. Hey, Joe, mark that up as the next failure in your administration. Please do me a favor. Call me when you have your first success. I'd be more than happy to report on that. But I ain't going to hold my breath. Pinball out.